Hello everyone and welcome back to another EV Geek podcast review. He is Sebastian, I am Joel, and you are joining us on a brisk Arkansas morning to talk about the 2024 Mustang Mach-E. So this is the all-wheel drive. This is the 72 kilowatt hour battery pack. This is LFP, correct?
Yes.
LFP, 230 EPA estimated mileage of range. Sebastian, what are you looking forward to in this?
Yeah, so this is the premium trim level.
Oh,
so
premium, gotcha.
We have previously driven a 2023 Mach-E GT.
Okay.
And so there are some improvements that came along for 2024, and this being the non-GT model, it'll be cool to kind of see what the normal spec car is, right?
Yes.
This isn't the base model of a Select, premium, you have Select, Premium, and then GT, so this is kind of probably the most common model.
The middle range, the middle of the road.
And so yeah,
yes.
I'm just excited to kind of see how it drives compared to a 2023 GT, and then, just the general, how's it feel, what's the interior like, etc.
Gotcha. This is the Star White with the black interior. Want to give a shout out to Crain Ford of Little Rock for letting us borrow this car. Huge shout out to the team over there. It was great, picked it up, already had a full charge. Thanks y'all for that. We're going to get set up to do a quick tour of the outside and then head inside where Sebastian will give us a driver review. We'll see you in a second. All right, welcome back. Sebastian, let's do a quick tour of the outside of this Mustang Mach-E.
Yes, and it will be a quick tour because the wind started blowing and it's 18 degrees outside, and we're both not used to this kind of weather.
We're not used to this in Arkansas, yes.
So, Mach-E GT, or not GT, already messed up. Mach-E Premium. You get these wheels on it, which I think look actually pretty good. They still have kind of the aero insert to them. By the way, we had like some dust come through, and so it's impossible to keep anything clean right now. But these are 19-inch wheels. They look good. Very quick drive over here. Didn't seem to add a lot of road noise on these at all. It sounded pretty good outside. You do have your charge port in the front driver's side. Not NACS native location, but these vehicles do support the Tesla Supercharger network. I believe Ford was the first.
They were the first. They
were the first. And so with the adapter, you can plug in this into, I think it's like 17,000 supercharger stations across the country.
Keeps growing, keeps growing.
Keeps growing, which is awesome. Coming around front, you have these nice LED signature. You kind of have, this is a controversial thing of Mustangs, a little bit controversial. I don't like the mustache.
Oh, yes.
On the GT, this is all one piece. It's like a different, like the whole thing is kind of like a fake grill. But on the not GTs, it's a mustache. It's not my favorite, or at least not on a white car. That said, you do have a front trunk, and this is one of the few EVs that you can actually open it from the key.
Cool. We say that.
Oh, you know what? We left the car on.
Yep.
So you guys join me in the future because I realized as I was editing this why the front trunk didn't open when I pressed the button on the key fob. So the day we filmed this, we filmed a Mustang Mach-E and an F-150 Lightning, and we had the keys to both on us. And when I got out of the car, I grabbed the Lightning key, which does have a button for the front trunk on it, instead of a Mach-E key, which does not have a button for a front trunk on it. And so when I filmed it, I just saw front trunk button. I was like, oh, cool. You never see that on cars. And Preston held it, and then it was like, oh, it didn't work because the car is on. When in reality, it didn't work because it wasn't the key for the car. So anyway, back to the video.
Try to keep the car warm, so we left it on. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
And it has a front trunk, and it's a good size front trunk.
It's a decent size front trunk. It was
and
similar to the Model Y, yes.
Cup holders.
Cup holders, in case you want to have it here.
Drains.
Drains are great.
Drains are great. Something that I think they're finally adding to the Model Y.
They need to. I learned the hard way that the Model Y doesn't have drains.
But yeah, really good size front trunk. Only other thing we'll really look at out here, there's not much going on the passenger side. I do love on the Mach-E, you have this fake roofline. So they do the top of the roof in black so that from a distance it looks more like a coupe and less like an SUV.
But you do notice that roof line when you get in because it's a lot raised, it's a lot higher.
Yeah. Rear end, you have your Mustang taillights. I think they look good. I think the Mach-E generally is a good looking car other than the mustache. Opening the trunk, we've got the button here. Power trunk on the Premium, and it's a good size. You don't have a whole lot back here. You've got a 12-volt outlet and some hooks for your bag. And let's see, does this have underfloor storage?
It does.
It does, and a charger. Look at that. So, good size trunk. I mean, this would be perfectly fine for like a daily just like
Daily
to haul
driver,
a
yep.
crossover. Yeah.
Yep.
So we're gonna pop that closed, and I'm sufficiently frozen now. Is there anything else you want to talk about on the outside?
I think we're fine. You got the little rear reverse light down at the bottom down there. You kind of see it. It's in a weird spot, but yeah.
We do have one more thing. Let's
We do.
real quick do the back seat.
Sure.
So, door handles are another controversial thing on the Mach-E. So on the front, you have the button and the little grab. There's no grab on the rear. So when you hit it, it kind of pushes the door out with the,
presents itself, yep.
there's a little stick right here that pops out.
It presents itself, yeah.
It presents itself, that's fine, it doesn't bother me too bad, but that's one thing I've seen a lot of people gripe about. Hopping in, I have the seat where I was when I drove.
So our 6-foot challenge in the back seat.
This isn't bad. Plenty of knee room.
Yep. Plenty of headroom.
Plenty of headroom, especially I'm wearing a hat. Like I seem to have run into issues with that. Very nice. You do have 2 air vents, 2 USB-C ports. No heated seats back here, however. I don't remember if the GT had heated seats in the rear either.
I don't remember. It's been a while.
Otherwise, not a whole lot of frills. These are comfortable. You do sit in a pretty good seating position, which is, this isn't one of those EVs where you're sitting straight up in the back. Good stuff. You do get cup holders, all that jazz. Okay, now let's hop in where it's warm.
All right, now we're gonna hop inside. We'll do a quick tech review, and then we'll do a little quick driving review for you. We'll see y'all in a second. We are now inside the nice and toasty warm Ford Mach-E Premium. All right, Sebastian, give us a kind of quick tour of what we're looking at in this car.
Yeah, so first things first, it's a nice place to be.
It is.
These seats are very nicely padded, good materials. It's a good seating position. I've got this seat actually all the way down on the floor, and I don't feel like I'm too high.
Plenty of headroom.
Plenty of headroom, and that's largely in part to this awesome big glass roof.
Yes.
Now, I would maybe like to see either a shade so that you could close it, or maybe do the whole electrochromic thing.
Yeah, electrochromic.
Which, at this price, I don't really expect the electrochromic, but maybe like a little shade that, can go over. That said, it does seem to be pretty well tinted. I mean, it's a pretty bright day outside right now, and it's not too bad. But yeah, materials in here are good. Steering wheel feels excellent. Heated steering wheel works very well on my very cold hands. So, like every Mach-E, you have your vertical screen, and it's got this very similar software to like the F-150 Lightning or whatever. We just turned the car on. This is what it came up to by default. So you have your navigation. This car does do route planning. It was a little slow, but I'm not going to fault it too hard because I don't know if this car is up to date, whatever else. And I don't want to, fault it and then find out, it was fixed later.
Yep.
But it will route plan, so we are at 92% on this. This is the standard range LFP pack, EPA rated 230 miles. And like we mentioned, it is 20 degrees outside. But there we go.
If you don't believe us, yes, it is that cold outside right now.
There we go. You see it did our route plan. There's our charging stops. It says we're going to get there at 11%.
Yep.
Cool. And if you hit go, it's going to talk a little bit. Sorry.
Please drive to highlighted route.
There we go. You can hit details. And it shows we're going to charge at Electrify America for 10 minutes, 25 minutes, 35 minutes, and 30 minutes. It is not routing to superchargers, and I don't know if that's a software update thing or a setting in here. I tried to play around a little bit, and it came up and told me I needed to activate Ford Pass.
Yeah.
So that might just be a setting, and I just don't know about it. I'm actually now curious. Settings. Map and vehicle? No. Anyway, doesn't matter.
You can do it.
You can charge on superchargers in this vehicle, and Ford supports plug-in charge.
Good.
So once you have your Ford Pass set up and you have the whole Blue Oval charge network going, you can use supercharging and just plug in and it bill you.
Or you could also go.
Or you can use the Tesla app and do the discounted rates with the membership and all that. Coming up here, you don't have actually that many options in here, which is not a bad thing. You have your radio, phone, navigation. You do get wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Love to see it. You do have your charging menu, so we'll talk about this a little bit. So like you can see right now, we're at 92%. And here you can set up your departures and comfort, so you can have it, what time do you plan on leaving in the morning, and it will precondition the cabin, which is nice.
Especially on days when it's 20 degrees.
You can also come in here and set up charging locations. So like if you charge at work, charge at home, you can set up each of those locations separately and then set like charge limits for it. And you can set up multiple, so you could have like your house, and if you could charge at, say, your mom's house when you go to visit, you could set a charge limit at her house and all that stuff. All that's nice. You can't actually set it up unless you're actively charging.
Which is odd.
Which is odd, but I get it. And then you come over here, you also get some entertainment stuff. Now, you've got YouTube and a bunch of games. YouTube on a vertical screen probably isn't amazing.
Yeah,
I imagine.
You're probably going to get half the screen. Yeah.
But at least it has it, right?
Yep.
And those charge stops didn't seem very long.
I think the longest
Ford
was 30.
quotes a 150 kilowatt peak charge rate, and I believe this is like the other Ford EVs where you plug in and you get that kind of boost profile at most any percentage of the battery pack, which is nice. If you come in here to your vehicle settings, so this being the premium and not the GT, you have Whisper, Engage, Unbridle. If I remember right, the GT had like Unbridle Extend was an additional option. You got your one pedal drive, and I do appreciate when you switch, you can switch and you keep all these settings. We turn propulsion sound off almost immediately because it's silly.
Yes. There's no need for your EV to sound like a real car.
That said, one pedal drive was nice, and then it auto holds, which is expected, especially when you have one pedal drive on.
Calm screen.
Calm screen, so that will. It's so calm
calm.
when you just tap to get back into it. Coming through here, you've got driver's assistance. This has all the stuff. You can get Blue Cruise on this. It is a subscription-based model. We don't know if this one's active or not. We'll find out when we get off the highway.
A little bit, yeah.
But you also, of course, have adaptive cruise control, lane keeping, all that jazz. All that's great. If we come in here, I just want to make sure I get everything. Like the other Ford EVs, there are a ton of options in here and all sorts of things you can do. We won't dig into it because most of it's boring. I do appreciate with the Ford EVs, you can set up different profiles depending on which key is in the car. And I don't know if this supports phone as a key. I think some of the Mach-E's do. Okay, so maybe it does. Because if it's like on the F-150 Lightning, you have to get, I believe, at least a Lariat.
You can program phone as a key device.
There you go.
That's my key. So
okay, so you can at least on the premium trim level. Because yeah, on Ford Lightning, I think you have to get at least the Lariat trim level to do phone as a key.
Okay.
So cool, you can do that, and you can set up profiles. So like, if you get in the car with your key or your phone, and you have your seat memory programmed, it'll automatically move the seat.
Which every car should.
If your wife gets in with her phone, it'll change the seat to where she's going. All that's awesome. All that's great. Every car 100% should have that. Anything else on here that we really want to talk about? Not really. This car does, as we mentioned, do over-the-air software updates, and from what I've seen, Ford is pretty dang solid on actually providing the updates or whatnot. We're not going to let it finish. You do have a driver's instrument panel.
I'll pass it to you. There you go.
Here we are. There's not a whole lot that goes on up here. It's not super configurable. You have your range here on the left, your kind of vehicle overview in the middle, which will also show your driver's assistance stuff, and your speed. There's not a whole lot going on.
But that's all you need.
Which is fine. That's all you need. Yep. Coming over here, you have just headlight control and then typical window switches. You do have kind of an odd door handle on the door as well. I'm going to pass that over to Joel.
There you go.
Really not a whole lot else to talk about. No digital rearview mirror. It is auto dimming, whatever. And you do have home link, so you can do your garage door openers as well, which is nice.
Gotcha.
Not a whole lot else I want to talk about. Sunglass holder.
Yep, lights.
Can't think. Oh, okay, down here. Let's talk.
Oh, glove box.
Glove box. And let's just look at center console. You do have a wireless phone charger. Only one. And it's probably, honestly, if you look at it, the sides aren't the same. So that's probably why there's only one. 2 cup holders. Shifter is down here, parking brake. Now, for the 2025 model, they've moved the shifter. It is now on the column, and this is more storage, which is nice.
We like that, yes.
Yeah.
You also have a USB-C and a USB outlet down there, too.
In the 2025, so if I remember right, also get a heat pump and a bunch of other like little tweaks.
Yes.
But this is a 2024. I don't know if the 2025s have actually started shipping yet. If we come in here, you also get some storage in here. You have a 12-volt outlet. It's a pretty little deep pocket. Not bad at all. You can close that up, and then you just have your armrest. But really, not a whole lot else on the interior. It's a nice place to be. Materials are good.
The black looks good. You got the cloth.
And that's your Bang & Olufsen sound system. Sounds pretty good.
It does.
I didn't have any real complaints with it.
Nope.
You ready to take it for a drive?
Yeah, let's get our other camera set up, and we'll take it for a drive. We'll see y'all in a sec.
All right.
All right, we are on our driving review now. Sebastian is behind the wheel. We got all of our cameras hooked up. Sebastian, anything you noticed just driving it out of the parking lot?
So kind of first things first. It's been just long enough since we've driven a Mach-E for me to remember.
It's been about 6 months probably.
Yeah,
4 to 6
golly,
months,
time flies.
Yep.
Anyway, it is really well composed.
It is.
We're just on city streets right now, and honestly, these aren't even the worst city streets, but we've gone over some weird like pavement transitions or whatever, and like, as far as like body movement, they didn't crash and jar like a Model Y does.
Yep.
Sorry to bash on your car all the time.
Hey, I understand the suspension on my Model Y, and I totally agree with you, so.
Now, we've driven a lot of really expensive cars recently.
Yeah.
It doesn't drive as well as one of those.
No.
But, like, when you consider kind of where this is in the market,
Yep.
it drives,
Mach-E,
suspension.
Blazer, Model Y, Blazer, Prologue, in that area right there. So
yeah. It's like suspension feels really good. You know, this one's not the GT. It's just the premium. It is all-wheel drive though, and even then, I still feel like it has plenty of power. Especially for, you know, it's an EV, right? You're gonna have pretty much plenty of power no matter what. We're not race car drivers or whatever, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yep. Turn the map on.
Got the map on, and just to kind of show that we're at 50. We need to get up to 65 real quick.
Yep. Ooh, that little.
And like, it's not like it didn't pin me or anything, because it's not the GT.
Yep.
But it still did really well. It got right up there, no problem, no fuss, no noise. Even out here on the highway, like there's some road noise. You can hear cars around you, but like we're not talking any louder. And I feel like I can hear fine. We're gonna see if this has Blue Cruise active or not. I'm gonna hit that button. All right, we're now set to 65. All right, it is not telling me hands-free, so I'm assuming we do not have. Oh, yeah, hands-on. Okay.
Yep.
So Blue Cruise must not be active on this one, which is fine, because even
we've tried Blue Cruise before. It worked great. We have other videos that show Blue Cruise, so yes.
Yeah, no big problems. I'm gonna let this truck get around. I'm curious to know if this will do auto lane changing.
Find out.
Because I believe they have added that to Mach-E and Lightning, but again, I don't know what what OTA version we're on. Okay, no auto lane change, but it did disengage lane centering. And then, is it going to re-engage? There we go. Re-engage automatically.
Good.
Very
Good.
nice. And I believe Ford 2 lets you do some manual adjustments while you're in lane centering. Yes, and it doesn't kick you out immediately, which is nice.
So if it's not taking the curve like you want it to, you can
put manual input in there, and it doesn't
kicking
just
you off.
right. But yeah, out here on the highway, I mean, pavement's not that bad out here. It rides fine. There's some road noise, but this would be perfectly fine. I had no complaint. My only kind of gripe, there you go, it's telling me I need to keep hands on steering wheel, which is a good time to tell you it is not a capacitive wheel. It is a torque-based wheel. The only thing here is with the standard range battery pack, you only have the 230 miles of range. Yep. Which is pretty short.
But if you're just city driving, it works fine.
Like if you buy this as a commuter, yeah, that's perfectly fine. But I do, you 100% can road trip a car of 230 miles of range.
It told us what, four or five stops?
4 or 5 stops to get to Austin, which isn't that bad.
Each stop is 20 to 35 minutes. So
yeah, which isn't bad. I don't know what the 10 to 80 time is on the LFP pack. I should have looked that up before we started driving, but I just now thought about it. Yep. That said, I personally would probably get the big battery, which I believe is 91 kilowatt hour. And although that one is not LFP, that one is NMC, nickel metal carbide. Which really that just has some differences in like cold performance or whatnot.
I totally agree. For my driving needs, this is one car that we have been looking at possibly replacing my Model Y with either the end of this year or beginning of next year. But I would have to get a big battery pack.
Yeah. Which, honestly, though, that's not bad. Even that's not bad. It's pricing wise and everything, and you can get good incentives on these. Yep. I believe, assuming tax credit stays around, these should start qualifying soon for at least partial. It just picked up and decided we're going to do 71 now on its own.
There we go. Well, you do have it set to offset at 6
That's right. I forgot about that. Okay.
You set the offset to 6 over, so it's 65 and it's doing 71.
Yep. Okay. So cool that it just did that automatically there. Yep. But yeah, I mean, it drives well. I have no real gripes.
No, I mean, even when we drove the GT a couple months ago, and that was a 2023. It drove really nice.
Yeah, and the GT did have Blue Cruise, and that's where we got to play around with it. And Blue Cruise worked really well, and that was on a 2023 model. So I'm assuming it has only improved from there.
So if you're interested in seeing what Blue Cruise is like, you can check out our older video of the red Mach-E GT, and you can see how Blue Cruise works.
My only other thing I'll kind of pick on it a little bit for is the only way to precondition in this car is to use the navigation. That said, this Ford EVs are some of the only EVs that will precondition when using third-party navigation. So if you have an Android phone using Google Maps, and you were to do the route planning in Google Maps, it will still precondition the chargers.
Gotcha.
It does not do that on iOS yet. However, it does support EV route planning in Apple Maps, which is still really cool.
And we tried that before, and that was really nice.
Yeah, and like it's really nice that you can. It just decided the speed limit is 55 for some reason. I'm not 100% sure there. Anyway, but it is nice that you can have your CarPlay device connected, use your Apple Maps like you would in every other car, and it will still factor in and find charging stops, tell you whatever. Its only thing it won't do is precondition like it will on Android phones with Google Maps.
So if you don't like the map system in here, you can use it through your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and it's a seamless transition.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I think Ford, there's a very limited number of EVs that actually do the native route planning on third-party devices. And so kudos to Ford for being in that list.
So iPedal worked great. That was smooth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, didn't touch the brake pedal at all.
Yep.
And now we're holding. Yeah, I mean, this is a very nice to drive car. Mm-hmm. I understand why people really like the Mach-E. And the people that like the Mach-E are very vocal about how much they like the Mach-E. You know, it's not perfect. I kind of, like we mentioned on the battery, talking about battery, I don't know how it's only 230 miles of EPA range on a 72 kilowatt hour battery pack. Just for...
Well, it doesn't have the heat pump. So
true.
Yeah.
Just, you know, point of reference though, like my Bolt has a 60 kilowatt hour battery pack and EPA rates at like 250 miles. You know, and so it's like of course this is probably it's bigger, it's heavier, it's going to be less efficient. But a Model Y is an 80 kilowatt hour battery pack
and gets over 300.
Okay. And so yeah, there's a little bit of stuff like that doesn't 100% make sense to me, but I don't think that is enough to make it to where this car is just like should not buy.
Yep.
This car, I have no, like, I would drive one of these, no problem.
You would take it off the lot today?
Yeah.
If they gave it to you. If Crain Ford said, take this with you would say, sure thing.
Yeah, I'd have no complaints. Yeah. And, like, back seat's comfortable, plenty of room in the back for this. And this really isn't that big of a car.
Nope.
Heated seats are working amazing right now. Heated steering wheel is, I actually feel
like you said, you can road trip on. I would have no issues taking this to, you know, a 6 or 7 hour drive to Austin or something like that.
Yeah, and it's like, even with this being the standard range, like, you know, sure, you're going to stop more frequently because you have a smaller battery pack, but ultimately, it's not that bad because it charges fine.
Yep.
Yeah, the Mach-E is a vehicle that makes a lot of sense, and I'm really excited that Ford has continually improved it almost every single model year. They've done something to make it better. Yep. You know, adding
because
the
like
heat
we said,
pump.
when you only have 2 models of EVs with the F-150 and the Mach-E, you have to continuously upgrade them.
Right.
Update them to keep your buyers interested.
Right. But yeah, I've really liked the Mach-E. This is good.
Yep. All right, we're going to wrap that up here. We'll do our final thoughts once we get back to the dealership. But yeah, once again, shout out to Crain Ford of Little Rock for letting us borrow this today. And we'll see y'all in a second. All right, we made it back to Crain Ford Little Rock here for our final thoughts for our video. So I'll start first. Final thoughts. Great car. It was a smooth ride on the freeway. Acceleration was good. Like Sebastian said, if you need a daily EV driver, this is the perfect car for you. Some of the drawbacks just on this model, it only has a 230 miles of EP range, which is, if you need more, then just go up to the bigger battery. Simple as that. But all in all, I like the software. I like the tech. I like the interior. Sebastian, what about you?
Yeah, so it's cold.
It's cold.
And that's one of the things, you know, when this car gets the heat pump coming soon, that will be awesome because we averaged just now on that little trip 1.9 miles kilowatt hour.
Yep.
Which is not great. But it is nice enough on the screen to tell us, like, we use an extra 10% of battery just because it's cold outside. And it's showing us right now 168 miles at 82%.
Yeah.
Which is pretty brutal, honestly.
Yep.
But it would still be fine for like a daily commute, whatever. And that, you know, like you said, get the big battery if you're someone who thinks you're going to do more than one road trip a year or something like that. But yeah, super comfortable seats, good seating position, good materials. Everywhere I'm touching is like, it feels good. You got leather on the doors, you got this carbon fiber.
Nothing feels like the cheap plastic you get.
Yeah, you don't get, especially considering, you know, this is a Ford, right? Yep. This is not your luxury. This is not a luxury brand or whatever. And that's not to say Fords are not typically built well. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying you don't expect as much out of a non-luxury brand, right? And still though, you got like upper door card is soft, you got leather on the door panel, this cloth material. Like, you don't get into hard plastics until you get to the very, very bottom of the door.
Yep.
Like, everything in here feels good.
Yep. It's got the carbon fiber almost like here on the dash. Yes.
On the interstate, even without Blue Cruise, driver's assistance was still good. It was keeping us centered in the lane. We could do in-lane repositioning. It let us set a speed limit offset, and so we could tell, you know, here's the speed limit, set the cruise control 5 above it, and it would automatically adjust,
Yep.
you know, as we went in and out of different areas, which was great.
Mhm.
All of that worked really well. The infotainment system is fine to me. I kind of still prefer the horizontal layout screens versus vertical. However, you don't get that option on Mach-E, so it is what it is. You know, having built-in route planning that works, especially considering, like I mentioned, this one is not registered to anybody. There's
Nope.
not a Ford Pass account or anything on it, and the route planning still worked. We've driven so many EVs recently that straight up won't route plan because
We don't have accounts.
you don't have an account, you don't have a data plan.
Yep.
And so the fact that this one still works, even though it's not registered, and the only thing it did is like when we were in here in the map and we hit like a charger button, it told us we needed to be registered to actually see like a list of chargers,
Yep.
because that's actually using the internet to pull the chargers. But when we set like Austin, Texas as a destination, it
It
actually
routed.
routed it and showed like, here's your stops, here's how long to stop.
Yep.
All that worked, all that was great. I also really I do like the dial. It has
Yes.
grown on me a lot. I think the first time we did one of these Ford EVs with the dial, I kind of didn't like it.
Yep.
It's grown on me a lot because you know, it's context aware. When you hit the heated seat, you turn the dial to change your level. When you hit the temperature, you change the
If
dial.
you're one of those people who don't like fingerprints on the screens, you can use the dial for things like
Yeah,
that. Yes.
or you can still just tap the buttons. You know, you get multiple ways of interacting.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a good package. Now the MSRP on this one is
Can you read? Upside down.
50,000.
Yep.
Which is kind of high.
Yep.
But when you consider that's not factoring in any incentives or whatever, you can
Yes.
find these cheap.
That doesn't factor in, you know, dealer incentives and all that. So
Yeah,
yes.
you can find these at a very good price.
Yep.
And they're really cheap used.
Yes.
Like you can get really, really good deals on them on the used market.
That is true, yep.
You know, now the used ones, maybe since you're going to be like a couple model years older, you're not going to get some of the improvements they've done iterative, because Ford has done a lot of iterative improvements on this car.
Yep.
But
Used, we're seeing these in the 20s.
I've seen these in the 20s.
High 20s, yes.
Or low 20s, honestly.
low
I've
20s.
seen in some areas.
Yep.
Which, I mean, at that price, buy two of them.
Yep, buy two of them.
His and hers, or
His and
his and
hers.
his, whatever.
That's right.
Like, this is a good car.
It is.
I understand why so many Mach-E people are like very vocal
Yes,
about
the
their love for this
Mach-E,
car.
if you join any of the Mach-E groups, and we're members of them, we love them. They're very vocal about their cars.
Yeah.
And they love them too.
Yep.
All right, we're going to wrap it up here today. Another, again, shout out to Crain Ford of Little Rock for letting us borrow this today. And we will see you again on another EV Geek podcast review. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification icon. We'll see y'all later. Bye.